Hey, it's Teresa from Life Beyond Diabetes. And I need to apologize because it's been about 2 weeks since I've seen you because I completely forgot last week due to the fact that it was a holiday here in the US. And we had Thanksgiving and I was enjoying my family when I should have been doing I should have been enjoying my family, but I should have recorded another video for you at the same time. Anyway, here now, done with the mea culpas, here to talk to you this week about what's weighing on me this week, and that is the fact that our life is changing again due to this silly, annoying, I don't want to even say silly because that makes it seem like it's not a big deal, this pandemic that we are living in the midst of. And what's happening now, instead of it being a time where we can start getting outside because the weather is improving, it's winter time and it's harder to get out and get active. And once again, the gyms are closing down and, we're not able to we have to be inside, and people are, I talk a lot about eating here in these, on these lives, but right now I want to talk about activity because activity is such an important part of managing our diabetes. It's such a big improvement for insulin resistance, but it is a lot harder to move and be active when we're told to be inside and the gyms are closed, and it's harder to get out and just even go for a walk because the weather's bad. Well, what I want to encourage you to do is, if it's not so stormy or so cold that it's unsafe for you to be outside, put on your rain gear and go for a walk. If you are in a place where you can safely get outside and go for a walk, get outside and move. It will do your heart and soul a world of good. So where I live in the northwest region of the United States, I live in Seattle, and it is known for being a rainy part of the country. And what I tell my clients and how I personally live is I have some really great rain shoes and really great rain gear, and the rain is not an excuse to not get outside and move. So rain or shine, I get out and move. I get out and walk. Walking is my thing. I love walking. I will tell you, I don't go out in the snow because I'm not so great on ice and I don't want to fall. However, I do try and make sure I'm moving inside the house. We have stairs in our house. I can do stairs. I wear a pedometer. So right now my pedometer is my watch. I used to wear a Fitbit. So I'm going to talk a little bit about pedometer goal setting. Most pedometers come, the Fitbits come with the goal set already on it so that you hit the buzz. I call it the zut zut. So it buzzes at you when you hit your goal. The zut zut comes for most pedometers set at 10,000 steps. Most people aren't walking 10,000 steps a day when they get their pedometer. 10,000 steps a day feels really like a big, huge goal when you first get your pedometer. So there's a couple ways that you can get up to that 10,000 steps without feeling like you're going straight from maybe 2,000 might be where you're starting. You might be starting at 500 steps a day. Don't think, oh my goodness, I need to go from 500 steps a day to 10,000 steps. It's probably not very practical. I used to walk about 1,000 steps a day, and I trained myself to go up to 10,000, 16,000 steps even is what I was walking before I had a foot injury. I can't walk that much anymore without it causing me a lot of pain. But before my foot injury, I was walking about 16,000 steps a day. I started out at about 1,000 to 2,000 steps a day. The way that I did that is I changed the goal on my pedometer. When I got my Fitbit, initially it said 10,000 steps. 10,000 steps was not going to happen. I kept thinking, every day I was disappointed. I'm like, oh man, I only got 3,000 steps a day. I'm never going to get to that 10,000 steps. So what I did is I changed it. Instead of setting it at 10,000 steps, I looked at where I was, and every day I realized I was getting pretty reliable. I was getting about 1,500 steps. So I set it to where every day, I set it at 15,000, or not 15,000, 1,500. So every day, about the end of the day, I'd get that little zit zit. And I'd go, oh, I got my steps. Zit zit. I got my steps. Yay! I reached my goal, because my goal was only 1,500 steps a day. But you know what? It was 1,500 steps. I got my goal. That was my goal for the day. I accomplished it. So I left it set there at 1,500 steps for about a week. So I got used to feeling that little zit zit that I got, and the little kind of little endorphin rush that I got every time I got that goal. And after I got used to feeling that, I increased it by about 250 to 300, 400 steps. And I wasn't getting it every day. And I started to miss it. So then I would walk a few more steps to make sure that I got it every day, because I didn't want to go to bed until I got my zit zit. So every day I'd walk a little bit further to make sure I got my zit zit. And then once I was getting it every day again, I increased it again. So it got to the point where every week I was increasing my steps by 400 or 500 steps a day to make sure that I was, so every week I would increase my steps about 400 or 500 steps. Because then, it took me a while to get to the point where I would just naturally throughout the day get that many extra steps. But by the end of the week, I would be getting that many steps, so I wouldn't have to add steps at the end of the day to get to my zit zit. So once I would get to the point where, okay, I'm getting this every day reliably, then it was time to increase it. Eventually, I got up to 16,000 steps, from 1,500 steps to 16,000 every single day. I increased it. Now, this is pre-pandemic times. I increased it by doing things like, instead of picking up the phone and calling somebody on the other side of the office, I'd walk over to them and ask them a question. Instead of sending an email, I'd walk over and ask a question. Instead of eating my lunch at my desk, I'd grab my sandwich and go for a walk around the block while I ate my lunch. I would do little things like that to add steps. I'd go for walks on my break instead of sitting down and doing the crossword puzzle. I would take longer walks with my dog because I wanted to get my zit zit every day. I started to really enjoy walking. I started listening to audiobooks while I walked. So walking was my jam. I loved walking. When I broke my foot, I lost that, and I was really disappointed about it. Now, unfortunately, I still love walking, but unfortunately I tap out at about somewhere between 6,000 and 8,000 steps. If I walk more than that, I'm in a lot of pain the next day. So I do other things for activity. So I have a stationary bike that I ride now, so I count my miles, and I look at how far I'm riding every day. But I still try and get in a nice long walk with my dogs if I can every day. But that's part of the activity that I do. So that's one way that you can increase your activity, is get a pedometer and challenge yourself to set a goal for reaching a higher, don't necessarily say I'm going to walk 10,000 steps. Say I'm going to walk more tomorrow than I am today. Okay, that's one way to increase your activity goal. I wrote down a whole bunch of tips. I'm going to look and see what else I had written on my card. One thing that you can do, because we're all struggling with activity right now as the gyms are closed. A lot of us are struggling. Find a friend that is also struggling and challenge them to do something with you. So maybe you want to go on a virtual walk somewhere. Maybe there's some place that you've always been. So for me, I live in Seattle. Portland, Oregon is about 175 miles straight down the freeway from my house. Maybe this is a hypothetical, maybe I have a friend in Portland I want to go visit, because I can't go visit anybody right now, right? We're stuck at home. But maybe I'm going to hypothetically go visit a friend in Portland. And maybe she wants to come visit me in Seattle. Maybe we'll meet halfway. So maybe we make a challenge and we see who can get to the other one first. So we get out a map and we pretend go down that map. Maybe I'll walk 3 miles one day, 3 miles the next day, 3 miles the next day. I'm not actually moving toward Portland, but I'm walking 3 miles in my own neighborhood. And as I'm moving down that map closer to Portland. So that's another thing you can do. There are apps that you can do that can help you map that. One of my clients actually she created a tour of museums that she wants to visit in a region of the country. So she's going to go on a virtual tour of museums that she wants to visit, and she's going to walk to these museums virtually. And then when she walks to these museums, she's going to spend a day virtually touring the museum when she gets to each of these museums. She's really excited about this. I think that's a fantastic, exciting thing that she's looking forward to doing. So each of them is about 20 miles apart. So she'll go on her walks every day for a few days. Her day off that she's not walking, not doing the exercise that day, she's going to spend the time that she would be spending exercising, doing the fun thing of looking at the museum website and exploring the museum. So that's something you could do. A couple other things you could do. One of the things that I am doing with one of my friends, because it's outdoors and it is safer than getting together indoors. My friend and I, we each put on our masks, and we walk, at least 6 feet apart. We go through walks in our neighborhood, and we try out new walking routes. We take turns drawing routes on what's it called? The app is called Map My Walk, and you can create a map ahead of time, and we map new walks. So we just go for walks, and we look at the houses in the neighborhood, and I take my dogs along, and we are enjoying each other's company, distanced but together with our masks. We're doing that because it's safe to be outside. We do that once a week, and we're trying new routes. We take turns building the routes, and this is another way to add activity. It's adding pretty much my only in-person social thing that I'm doing in the world right now. So that's a nice thing to be able to do. I do recommend, if you want to, and we take turns mapping out 3-mile walks that we're doing. So 3 miles for me is about 6,000 steps. So 6,000, as I mentioned, is a pretty good step count for me without having my foot hurt. So that's one of the things we're doing. Another thing that a lot of people are doing is virtual races. There's a lot of races that are available that you can sign up to do. And they even send you swag. So, so you can do a virtual 5K, a virtual 10K. And there's some really fun ones. I saw some people doing the Wonder Woman race. So you sign up for it, and they have training programs, and you can train for the races, and you get the medal, and you get the swag and everything. So if you're a runner, look into doing some virtual races. These are some really great get you moving activities that you can be doing in community with a lot of people from around the country and around the world. Again, this is something you can do with a friend that you don't have to be in close proximity, but a way to get yourself moving. Another thing, if you want somebody to really to challenge you and keep you moving, if you need the accountability, look into hiring a trainer, a virtual trainer. There are a lot of people, all the trainers from the gyms are not able to work with their clients in person anymore, and a lot of them have gone online. You can find a trainer who can work with you virtually, and they are doing excellent work. And they can do one-off sessions. They can work with you weekly. Go online and find somebody that can encourage you and help keep you moving, because activity is such an important part in our diabetes and in that insulin resistance. And keeping the stress low in this pandemic time is so important. We got to keep moving, and so important. I just keep saying that. There's online stuff you can do, YouTube exercise classes. A lot of the gyms are offering, a lot of the yoga classes are online, a lot of the Pilates classes, a lot of the gyms are offering online classes. And most importantly, the thing that I think needs to happen for all of us, and I know that this is a case for me, is that in order to make it happen, you can't just say, yeah, this is a great idea, I think I'm going to do it. You got to get out your planner and write it down. So if you're a phone person and your calendar lives in your phone or on your computer, schedule an appointment and make the exercise happen in your appointment calendar, in your appointment. I put everything in my planner. I write it in pen and it goes in there. So I know what days I'm going to be walking with my friend, my little socially distanced walks that I go on. I know what days I'm going to be riding my bike. I know what days my dogs and I are going to be going for those long walks. It's in my calendar. It's scheduled out for the week. Those are appointments just as important. I do not cancel those appointments any more than I would cancel an appointment with a client. Those are non-negotiable. I make exercise non-negotiable because it is important for my health and my body, and not just my physical health, but my emotional health. Right now, the stress that we are under in this time of pandemic and isolation, life is hard. And the activity, I can work out my anger, I can work out my frustration, I can work out my sadness, and I can experience real joy and the endorphins that come with the activity. It's pretty fantastic. So get out and move in your house, move outside your house as you're able. If you're able to socially distance and get with some people, do it. If you're able to virtually get with some people, find your community online, get moving. I would love for you to tell me how you like to move, what some ideas are for you. I'll try to put some of these things in the comments, some of the suggestions, so that you can go to, like, for instance, I said map my walk. I'll see if I can find some of those. You know what? I can't even remember the place that I found the app of where you can find the challenge for the distance. There's a lot of the places where you can find the challenge for the planning your trip and walking or riding, whatever. Map My Walk is the one that I use for my routes. But look for virtual races, look for virtual classes online. You got this. Get out there and move, and tell me what you're doing for moving, because I want to hear about it. Have a lovely rest of your day, a lovely weekend. I will see you back here next Thursday at 2:30 Pacific. Bye.